Hey, what's up everyone? Game Dad here, and today we are going to take a look at all of the different and unique Nintendo controllers that I have in my collection. We're going to start from the oldest ones that I have all the way up through the newest controllers that I have, and we'll even throw in a bunch of third-party stuff and stuff that was released for modern consoles that may resemble old controllers. So let's go ahead and dive in and check those things out. Now, I would show my Famicom controllers, but if you own a Famicom, you know they are attached to the system, so I can't show that. But here is an original NES controller. I have several of these in the collection, all various levels of quality. This one's a little bit yellowed, could probably use a retro writing, but nice little classic NES controller. Got that D-pad on there, first time on a home console, so that was awesome. Moving on from there, we have the NES Advantage controller. Now, this thing was amazing for the time because it gave you an arcade stick at home, and it actually functions very well, is super comfortable, and has some extra features in it like turbo, adjusting rate of fire, and it's just a really awesome controller. Then after that, we have the NES Max controller. Very comfortable. It kind of feels like the Dogbone controller. I used to have one of those in my collection, but I don't have the top loader NES anymore. Maybe someday I'll get another one, but the Max feels just as comfortable. It is a little bit small in the hands, especially for someone like me with really big hands, but it has this kind of like slide around button here. You got your AB, you got some turbo on it, and then you can push on the outer parts of the ring right there. Now, moving on from there, we have this one. This is the Bishu, Bishu Zipper, and very much a look and feel of a Famicom controller or something like a TurboGrafx controller. You got your classic D-pad, select, start, BA, but then you also have some rate of fire toggles here on the top of the controller. So that is the Bishu Zipper. Now, moving on, I am actually fortunate enough to have a couple of these in box, but this is the Wyco, I don't know how to pronounce that, Command Control. So it's got a joystick on the bottom with your start and select up top, and then you got some triggers on the sides. But this is a nice little joystick controller for the NES. Then moving on from there, I used to have an orange one, I don't anymore, but this is the Nintendo Zapper, and if you've ever played a light gun game or anything like that, you know this is an absolutely classic controller, and it's great to have one in the collection. I never had a gray one growing up. I always had the orange one, but I'll have to keep an eye out and get another orange one for the collection. Now, from there, I have one controller I'm going to save for the end, but if you have ever gone out looking for NES controllers, you may have come across a QuickShot controller. Now, originally, I thought the QuickShot was just one type of controller. No, it is an entire series and line of controllers, and I have a few of them, but I've come across probably over a dozen more that I don't have in the collection yet. But here is one of them. It's kind of like a flight stick, and you have your start and select, and you have a little bit more functionality with auto fire on the back, but then you have your top button, you have a trigger button, and just a nice little like flight stick joystick for the NES. So that's a QuickShot. Then we also have this one right here, which is very Intellivision-esque. It's got like this dial control right here. You got your start and select, you got some auto fire, and then you got little triggers up here. I don't know if there was a specific game for this. Maybe let me know down in the comments below, but this is yet another QuickShot controller. And then going with that theme, we have another QuickShot controller. This one gives me like third-party PC controller vibes, but it's got a few different options on there for like slow-mo, turbo fire, things like that. You got your A and your B, and you've got your D-pad on it. The D-pad's a little mushy, I don't really care for it, but that is another one, and it says for professional players. Only pros can use it. Then we have this monstrosity right here. It's big, it's ugly, but I don't know, I kind of like it. You have left or right hand mode on it, so that's kind of nice. Then you have some auto fire, you have your start and select. Right here, these are your A and B, very clicky, and this is your D-pad actually. So you put your palm on it and rotate around, and then you rotate your wrist to hit your buttons. This seems like it would be extremely difficult to use in the majority of games, but that is another QuickShot that I have. Now, the last thing for the NES controllers that I have is, of course, the Power Glove. If you've ever seen The Wizard, you know what the Power Glove is. If you've never seen The Wizard, you still might know what a Power Glove is. It's a rather infamous controller that looks really cool and looks very like 80s, 90s, but is a raging piece of junk. This thing is absolutely awful. It used some really cool tech, but it's a terrible controller. It just kind of looks neat is about it. But yeah, that's the Power Glove. Now let's go ahead and move on to Super Nintendo controllers. Now in gathering up all of my controllers, I realized I don't have an original Super Nintendo controller anymore. Or maybe I do, like in a repair box, but it wasn't in my area that I normally keep controllers. But I have a Super Famicom controller. Most notable difference is you get the multicolored buttons right here to match the Super Famicom logo, as opposed to just the gray and purple ones. And then of course it says Super Famicom instead of Super Nintendo. But nice regular controller there, very comfortable. You get your triggers and everything. Now, just like with the NES, there was actually a Super Advantage controller. Now this one is made by ASCIIware, but as you can see, it follows that coloring of the Super Famicom, and then you have your left and rights right here. It even has like the theming of the console and stuff on it, and all the adjustments for everything, auto, turbo, all that stuff. But this is another great arcade stick for retro and 16-bit gaming right there. And then the last thing, I don't have a ton of Super Nintendo stuff. The last thing is the Super Nintendo mouse. So if you have ever played Mario Paint, you know exactly what this is. And yeah, I don't know, it's just awesome to have that. And I have the little mouse pad for it. And then for Super Famicom, I actually have this complete in box with the game. So very cool things to have in the collection. Now, I couldn't remember order of release, but I only have one for it, so I figured I'd show it, and that is the Virtual Boy controller. Now, this thing is crazy because this is actually like where all the power for the system went. Everything goes right into the back right here. I have a little kit on here to be able to plug in a Super Nintendo power cord to power it that way, instead of having to use the battery pack, which is not that great, but this thing just kind of slides off and then you can put a battery pack on it instead. But you got a couple triggers back here. You have dual D-pads. You have start and select, you have A and B, and then you turn the console on and off right from the controller. So very strange, but honestly, it's actually pretty comfortable for what it is. But that is my one and only Virtual Boy controller, is just the standard regular one. Now, moving on, we have the Nintendo 64. Now, here's one of the controllers. Like I said at the beginning of this video, I'm not going to show every single one I have, but I have like 15 different colors and variations of the original N64 controller. This is the first one I happened to grab out of the drawer, but I have tons of different ones, including some variations from like stores and things like that. I have the kind of lighter gray Hello Mac edition. That's a pretty cool one to have in the collection. But yeah, the classic N64 Trident, and I have it in a bajillion different colors. So there's that one. Now, if you have ever played Hey You Pikachu, you will recognize this right here. This is the microphone and its little receiver that you got whenever you got Hey You Pikachu, so that you could talk to Pikachu. But yeah, I don't really know any other games that actually use this. That was the only one I knew of, just so you could talk to it, and it didn't recognize your voice or anything. You could just yell sounds into it, and it would do the same thing. But yeah, that is the Hey You Pikachu mic, so that's pretty cool. Now, one of the more weird ones that I have is the Ultra Racer 64. I've got a couple of these, and this has a nice little turn wheel on it. You have your C buttons up there. You have also just little C buttons that you can push right underneath the wheel. You have all of your extra ones, and then you have a button that just says extra. Then right here, you have a throttle for racing games, and you have a slot for the memory card. Now, what was cool about the Ultra Racer 64 is they made other Ultra Racer controllers for different systems. I have a couple for the PS1, and it's the same mold, just a slightly different color. It doesn't have the foam around the wheel, it's more of a rubber, and then this just has a cap in it to block that hole where an N64 memory card would have gone. But that is the Ultra Racer 64. Now, moving on, there was, in a sense, a power glove for the N64. It's just a controller, not an actual, like, censored glove, but it's this guy, this crazy contraption right here. You strap it onto your wrist. It's got some Velcro and neoprene on it, and then your fingers kind of go over this right here, and then you have access to all of your buttons. I don't know anyone that has legitimately used this to play, but you have your C buttons right here, you have some little slide toggles, you have your start, you have your A and B, your left, right, your Z, and then you have your joystick on the side. I gotta be honest, when you wear it, it's actually pretty comfortable, and you get like full articulation, but it is a weird controller, man. Like it's just strange. I don't even know who makes this. Let's see, Reality Quest. It is the glove, and I have seen this for a few other consoles as well. Now up next we have another arcade stick. I did not know that they made these until I went to a convention one year, and I just happened to see it, and I was like, holy crap, it is an N64 arcade stick. And it's exactly what you would think. You have all of your buttons on it. You can even load up a memory card right here. I don't know if you could use anything else like a transfer pack or anything else with it, but then you have auto, you have slow, you have a spot to move this joystick over here, and if you want it like off to the left instead of in the center, so that was kind of interesting. Then you got your start button on it, but yeah, this is by Interact, and it is the Arcade Shark. So yeah, arcade stick for N64. Now, last up for the N64 controllers is probably my favorite, and in my opinion, the greatest N64 controller ever made. I've covered a few different, like newer third-party ones on the channel, but this right here, this is the Brawler 64 by Retro Fighters. This is hands down the best controller that you can play N64 on. It has a super long cable, or they also have a wireless version. It has full memory card and rumble pack, all that kind of support, and it feels like a modern controller. The two triggers right here, they are both Z, then you have your left and right bumpers, you have your analog stick off to the side, you have your D-pad start, everything, and it is so comfortable. It works so well, and the wireless version can even be used on other consoles as well. This one is strictly the N64 one, but the wireless one, it works. There's no lag. There's no like anything wrong with it. It is just a fantastic one, and they come in a ton of different colors. So, you know, not sponsored or anything, but shout out to Retro Fighters, because they have sent me a lot of these over the years, and this controller is amazing. So up next we have GameCube. Now I'll start off with just this little guy right here. We have the GameCube microphone. Again, I don't really know what this was used for, but it's wired. It doesn't take a special receiver. It just kind of plugs into a memory card slot. But yeah, this is the GameCube microphone. Cool, I guess. Let me know in the comments below, what was this used for? I really don't remember. But then after that, I just thought I would show it off. I have several of these random like third-party GameCube controllers. They came out way later because it was still very popular to use a GameCube controller, and even today it is still very popular to use a GameCube controller whenever you're doing any kind of fighting or Smash or anything like that. These are the go-to. So third-party ones, they actually work really well. They're really comfortable. This particular one, it's got some weird design choices with the buttons, but overall comfy controller. And then of course we have the regular OEM GameCube controller. This is another one of those ones where I'm not going to show all the different ones I have, but I have, I believe, every single color of the GameCube controller, and I have multiples of the majority of those colors. But this was the first one I grabbed. This is that platinum silver one, and it really is, like, when you first look at it, this controller is weird, man. It is such a strange layout, but when you use it, it is one of the most comfortable controllers ever designed. It's very strange, very odd looking, but it works. It is so comfy to use this controller. Everything is right where you need it. It fits in the hand so well, and in my opinion, this is one of the greatest controllers ever designed. But yeah, that's what I have for my GameCube controllers. Now, up next, we have the Wii. Now, you would think that there were a ton of different controllers for the Wii, but honestly, there really weren't. There was a few, but then it was all about accessories that the controllers go into. I've got a ton of those stupid accessories. I mean, most people do, but let's take a look at this right here. So this is the final rendition of the Wiimote, or the Wii Remote. I don't know anyone that actually called it a Wii Remote. It's the Wiimote. and this is one with Wii Motion Plus inside. Now, I do have various colors of the Wiimotes. I do have the regular ones, and I have the Wii Motion Plus adapters. But this was the best rendition because you didn't have anything extra or bulky or anything attached to it. And let me know in the comments below, did you ever use the little sleeve that came on this? I don't know anybody that legitimately used that sleeve. I just held the controller itself. But this is the Wii remote with the Wii Motion Plus inside. And then, of course, the nunchuck. Very strange concept, adding separated controllers, but I mean, it worked. It did what it needed to do. And then I, of course, had to, for anything in the Wii store or anything like that, I got the Pro controller for the Wii. Pretty comfortable, kind of a strange design. The buttons were okay on it, but yeah, this was the Wii Pro controller, and it was pretty nice for what it was. Again, it attached to the Wii remote, which was always strange. All of their extra stuff always had to attach to the Wii remote. Now, right here, we have the microphone, the Wii Speak. And this was cool because it allowed you to talk with other people, especially like Animal Crossing, things like that. So it was neat to just have another microphone that was on there, although I could have sworn that they had something else built in with the console, maybe in a later edition, that had something like this built into it. But yeah, I mean, there is the Wii Speak for the Wii. And then as for third-party stuff, here is one of them. I do not have a full set. I wish I would have had the forethought to get that and get all of the different ones that came out, because now they're a little more collectible and a lot more expensive. But this is the Luigi one. They did Mario, they did, I believe, Peach, I think Toad. They did a bunch of different ones for this. But this is a GameCube controller that you can plug into the Wii remote. And that was good in case you did not have the GameCube ports on your Wii. But this also just meant that no matter what Wii you had, you could always use a GameCube controller. So it's official Nintendo product. It feels a lot like a GameCube controller, but it is not identical. The triggers are definitely a notable difference, but the layout feels nice. Now, next up, we have the Wii U. And of course, the Wii U had the gamepad. A lot of people didn't like this. They thought it was very gimmicky. I really enjoy using the gamepad, honestly. I thought it was really cool, and I thought it was executed very well with a lot of different games, especially things like Zelda. You had your map, you had everything down below that you needed to hear, all your ready to access information, and then you had the game playing up on your screen. Or if you wanted to, you could be playing a game just on here. And I thought that was really cool. The marketing for the console obviously was abysmal, but I thought it was a cool console, and I really enjoy the Wii U. And I am now 4 games away from a complete North American Wii U set. So yeah, I like the Wii U. Now, moving on from there, is the Wii U Pro controller. This one is very comfortable in the hands. It is much better than the Wii Pro controller. The sticks are super nice. They added the R3, L3, the click in there. The triggers aren't bad. The buttons are really nice on it, but it is just a super, super comfortable controller and just fits so nicely in my very large hands. Now, there were also third-party editions. This one lights up all nice and blue whenever you turn it on, but this one, it feels kind of like an Xbox S controller, but it's got really steep angles on the grips right here for the actual like rumble motors. That part I don't really like. The sticks are nice. The triggers, they have a lot of tension to them, but overall, it's okay. It's doable in a pinch, but it is not better than the actual Pro controller for the Wii U. Now, one more random thing that I have for the Wii U is the Wii U draw pad. This, as far as I know, was exclusively used for the U-Draw game. They did one on the Wii and they did one on Wii U, but it's got a little pen here, you have a drawing surface, and that's what it is. You throw a Wii remote in here because the Wii remote was still used on the Wii U, and yeah, this is the U-Draw drawing tablet, or U-Draw game tablet for the U-Draw game. Now, before we get into Switch and a couple of the like newer third-party accessories coming out for consoles, a couple honorable mentions here. So here we have the Game Boy camera. Now, I was deciding whether or not to include this because this is like an accessory, but it's also kind of a controller, kind of. So this is the Game Boy camera. If you had this in conjunction with the printer, I've got the printer in a box over there, then you could print out stickers, you could do little thermal imaging. It was pretty cool. Like, honestly, for what this was, it was a really neat add-on. And I really like this one because it was green, like my very first Game Boy Pocket. I had the green one. Now, the other thing, this is legit a controller, and I'll give you a hint. It's got a guitar pick in it. So this is for Guitar Hero on Tour for the DS, and this is the Guitar Hero controller. So what you would do is you would have your DS, and you would strap this onto your hand. You would be doing all of your button controls just like the guitar, and then you would be strumming on your DS. And it works pretty darn well, and it's actually really fun to play Guitar Hero on the DS. But yeah, this is the Guitar Hero on Tour guitar controller. Now, moving on to the Switch. Of course, everyone nowadays knows what Joy-Con controllers are. These are my Skyward Sword ones. I also have the original grays. I have the purple and orange neon. I have the white ones that came on the OLED. And I think I have a couple more different variations of Joy-Cons. I've done a couple of shell swaps on various ones, but yeah, classic Joy-Con. I mean, they work. I don't know anyone that actually plays with them loose like this. They're always like attached to something, whether it's the console or an accessory, but yeah, classic Joy-Cons right there. Then after that, you have the Switch Pro controller. This was definitely my go-to over Joy-Cons because this controller is so damn comfortable. It is the perfect weight in the hand. It has very nice buttons on it. Everything just feels super nice, super solid. This is a fantastically designed controller. And it was my go-to until PowerA came out with the Fusion controller. That's this guy right here. It is slightly heavier. It's a little bit thicker in the grips, but then it actually also has grip texture to it. The buttons feel so much nicer. The sticks feel so much nicer. They have a much better texture on them. The buttons are great on this thing. And this also has the ability to add paddles to the back for extra functionality. I don't like to use them, but they're there. And it also has a removable faceplate, so you can swap it with a black or the white one right here. I kind of like that white, black, and red accents that are going on. But you can play this wired or wireless. Comes with a really nice case. It comes with the ability to swap out the thumbsticks, and it's just, this is a fantastic controller. This, to me, is like peak Switch Pro controller goodness. This one right here. Now, with the advent of the Switch Online and them slowly releasing different consoles on the Switch Online, I had to pick up the retro Switch Online controllers. So this is the set of the NES controllers, and I have used them. I just like to keep them back in the box so that they're nice. But these are the NES Joy-Cons, and these ones are awesome. They look absolutely ridiculous when they are attached to the console, and I don't even think they have functionality whenever you do that, but I have the set of two for the NES controllers for the Switch. Then I went ahead and I got two of each of them. That way it could always be up to a two-player with it. But we have the Switch Super Nintendo controller right here. It's the same thing as a Super Nintendo controller with a little extra weight because of a battery. And that's not a bad thing. It's nice. Then they came out with Genesis. So of course, I got the Switch Online Genesis. It is so weird to see an officially licensed Sega product that's also licensed by Nintendo. It's weird for me as a an 8-bit kid to see Sega and Nintendo on the same packaging partnering up to make something together. It's just weird, but very cool controller. It's the big 3-button style. It would be awesome if they came out with a 6-button, but I don't know if they ever will. And then the Switch N64 controllers. It's the N64 Trident. That's what it is. They did not come out with any special colors that I'm aware of. Would have been cool if they came out with all the fantastic colors again. But yeah, picked up a couple of these, and again, nice wireless N64 controller. And the last Switch dedicated controller that I have is the little Pokeball controller. It came out with, what was it? Let's Go Pikachu, Let's Go Eevee. And it had the option, like, you could throw the Pokeball. It has a little joystick and a button. It had a bunch of sound effects. It lights up, all that. Very, very gimmicky. But of course I picked it up because, it was a cool little Pokeball controller. Why wouldn't I pick it up? But now moving on to some modern controllers for retro systems. First up, we have this one right here. This is the Legacy GC wired controller. It has a very Super Nintendo feel with a very GameCube layout. And this is a GameCube and Wii controller. So very cool. They did a few different variations of this, including wireless ones and USB ones. This one is specifically the one for GameCube and Wii, so it has that GameCube connector on it. But very cool controller. I did a review on that in the past. And then right here from Retro Fighters, man, they really show a ton of dedication to their form factors. So we have the Battler GC and the Blade GC, and these are very similar controllers. The key difference is a little bit of button sizing change and either 2 analog sticks at the bottom or offset analog sticks. And these are both fantastic controllers. They feel great in the hand. These can be used with GameCube, with Switch, with Wii U, and they are just super nice controllers to use. They have a great design, and they really took the whole shell and molding that they had and really maximized what they were doing with these controllers. And then the final controller for today is the KMD drum. It's the TK drum. Now, this is used exclusively with drumming games on the Switch. I don't think it can be used with anything else. No, it's with the Switch only, but this is a really cool controller, especially because this one is extremely affordable. I think this one goes for like 30 bucks or 40 bucks, something like that. Where if you were to go get the official drum controller that comes with the various drum games on Switch, that thing is outrageously expensive. I think it's because it sold out very quickly and now you can really only find them secondhand, but that thing is like $200. This does the exact same thing, does it just as well, and is a fraction of the cost. So this right here, I really like this controller. It's very nice, it's very affordable, and it's just solid. Now, I did think of one other GameCube controller that I have in the collection, but it is part of a pile of stuff that is packed away right now because I will be selling it at the next convention that I'm at, which currently is going to be Midwest Gaming Classic in, I believe it's April. I think it's April. It's next year, 2024. But that is the DK bongo controllers. So I think it was for like DK Conga or something like that. But I have a couple sets of those, but those are going in a pile to actually sell those off because they come complete in box with the game and all that stuff. But that is my Nintendo controller collection, including a few other goodies that are added in there from companies making modern controllers for retro systems. And if you liked today's video, let me know down in the comments below. And while you're down there, please be sure to also hit those like and subscribe buttons, as well as that little notification bell. That way you can alert every time I got a new video coming out. And if you want to see another recent video of mine, then go ahead and check out this area right here. Now, as always, I'm Game Dad. I thank you all for watching, and I'll catch you later.